Okay, hi everybody. This is yet another installment of my strange board game collection. And as you can see right here, we have a board game version of the Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus book. And there's a board game version, and I didn't know that existed. It's still in print, interestingly enough. And I found this at a thrift store, and it is pristine. It is fully intact, which is great. I remember when this book came out in 1992. It was quite a phenomena. Everyone and their dog seemed to own a copy. I had just graduated from my bachelor's program, and I was annoyed by the book for reasons I couldn't fully articulate. It felt very gender and sex essentialist. And what that basically means is you are reducing everyone down to one type of person if you're a woman and another type of person if you're a man. And it didn't seem quite right to me. And then I did a bunch of research because I am that person and discovered that John Gray, purportedly Dr. John Gray, was actually the personal assistant to the Maharishi Yogi, and was celibate at the time of his work with him, went to do his bachelor's and master's under the Maharishi Yogi sort of high demand religious community with a degree from the Center for Science of Creative Intelligence, which is under that auspices of the Maharishi Yogi, and then did a doctorate from a correspondence university that was asked by court order to stop granting degrees. It's still acknowledged as a legitimate doctorate in the state of California, but again, did some investigation myself at the time, and a little bit more investigation when I found this thing, and it's interesting. And a lot of people really took a lot of stock. This is still repeated even to this day. And again, this particular board game apparently is still in print. It gets a 3.9 out of 10 on Board Game Geek. So let's just take a look and see what's inside. So you can see it's very similar to the artwork of the book itself. And right inside, you get immediately a sales pamphlet. I'm really always pleased to get this when I do get a secondhand purchase, where you get to see a little artifact like this, which is all of his other books. He wrote very, very many books about relationships. Incidentally, John Gray has been married 3 times and divorced his first wife in 1984. She was also a self-help author. Okay, so that's that nice little package. I do always love when I get these types of items because it does sort of, it's almost like a archival thing. You get to see some of the information that was important at the time, especially little promotions like that. And you can see here, this is a roll and move game. It's about advancing, and you're coming from different places. So in this case, you can see that the men are coming from Mars, which is noted here as a red planet. And then you've got a teal planet, which is Venus. Not very scientific, but there you go. And you want to get to Earth first. And purportedly, just looking at the rule book, it's meant for you and another couple, if you're in a couple, to play. The women play on one side and the men play on the other side. I'm just going to get that so you can see both. And you're coming from different spaces, and you want to try and get to Earth right in the center first. And that's how you win the game. So I'll just set this aside. And you can see there's a rule book, and it's filled with some interesting ideas. I'm going to read you just the intro here. Once upon a time, men were from Mars and women were from Venus. On their planets, they learned to think and act in different ways. One day, they came to Earth and discovered each other, but forgot where they came from. And it is here on Earth that men and women must remember their differences, relish them, and work to understand each other. So again, not very sciencey, but certainly really captured a lot of imaginations at the time. And I think he practically lived on Phil Donahue's show and others. And what you have in the box, and it's all very, very pristine. I'm always pleased when I discover these types of thrift store finds. And you can see that this is a voting token where you can vote to see if you can anticipate someone's answer. And the men have a token and the women have a token. And this has not even been punched out of its punch board. And then you've got these little timers, and there's a timer for the men. And then there's a timer for the women. And you have little notches where it shows numbers. And there they are. And so you're actually counting down, you're collecting the number of spaces you can move. And then you've got these cards, and these are, they have clearly not been used. I'll get them out of here. You can see right here, they're in absolutely pristine shape. But before I read you a few of the cards, I'm going to just show you some of these. These are player tokens, and again, look to be original and in really, really good shape. And you've got these tokens right here, which are for the women, and 3 of the red ones for the men. Okay. Then, and I really find these quite fascinating. I'm just going to take one out at random, or maybe a couple out at random, just to read to you. Some of them, as I was looking through, are a little embarrassing, but we'll see what we got here. I'm just picking these at random. This is a gender bender question. What do men most fear is the question, and it's A, commitment, B, loneliness, C, unemployment. If you agree, you must agree to move 3 spaces. Okay, so that's men, and this is Mars only, so they're broken down by men versus the women. On the back of the card, it says gender benders. For a man, the worst is to A, not try and have nothing, B, try and have nothing, or C, succeed and lose it all. So you can see there are the cards. And then you've got another one. Men don't like to talk about their problems because they like to A, fix things themselves, B, don't want to burden anyone, C, don't want to show any weakness. So these are the kind of cards that the men are being asked to answer. Let's put this back and we'll take a look at the women's cards. Okay, so here we go. This is a family affairs card for women. My perfect Sunday afternoon with my partner is A, hanging out at home, B, going for a walk, C, going shopping. And on the back it says, it is hardest to find a man who is sincere, A, B, secure, and C, compassionate. And you have to agree to move forward. And here's another card that's a little more racy. It's in the flesh. It must be embarrassing to A, walk in on your parents having sex, B, have your parents walk in on you having sex, walk in on your roommate having sex. So, yikes. That's an interesting one. And then the other side of the card says, men most dislike other men who are A, dishonest, B, wimpy, or C, arrogant. If you agree, you have to agree. You want to move forward 3. So it's really asking the women to have consensus. I really like this, having this game. I may not always agree with the philosophy behind it, but it's nice to have something like this. Everything's in great condition. The components are actually fairly high quality. It's quite pristine. As you can see, it's barely been used, probably never used. And for folks who collect vintage games like myself, you know that a lot of the component quality isn't always great. So I'm really happy to have this game. It's part of my collection. I have a big soft spot for a lot of therapy games because there are a lot of them. And board games are so often used in education, in therapeutic sessions. It's just lovely to have this in my collection. Again, don't always agree with the philosophies is espoused by this game, especially John Gray's attitudes about feminism. He said if feminism goes too far, who's at home taking care of the family? So made some controversial statements, but again, very pleased to have this. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate you watching.